If reggae music had a passport, the first stamp on it would probably read Jimmy Cliff. He wasn't just a singer, he was a bridge between Jamaica and the world, between raw island soul and global pop culture, between political struggle and joyful rhythm. In a time when reggae wasn't yet an international force, Jimmy Cliff became the vehicle that drove it out of the Caribbean and into global consciousness. His music wasn't just entertainment, it was a message wrapped in melody, a soulful call for equality, love, and human unity. And that's exactly why, to this day, Jimmy Cliff is not just listened to, he is felt. A kid with a dream. Jimmy Cliff was born James Chambers in 1944 in the rural hills of Somerton, Jamaica, a place where music was the heartbeat of daily life. Like many Jamaican children of his era, he was surrounded by the sound of ska, mento rhythms, and the vibrations of a culture still finding itself post-colonization. What made him different was not where he came from, it was how loudly he dreamed. By the age of 14, Jimmy moved to Kingston, a city alive with music and possibility, but also a rough world for a young boy alone. Kingston was crowded, competitive, and unforgiving. But from those streets emerged a singer who refused to blend into the background. He knocked on studio doors. He sang anywhere someone would listen. And while many kids gave up after a few closed doors, Jimmy Cliff kept singing. Eventually, someone finally said yes. From street corners to studio lights, Jimmy Cliff recorded his first songs as a teenager, and though they didn't immediately top charts, there was something in his voice, raw yet spiritual, hopeful yet heavy, that people stopped to notice. His breakthrough came with Hurricane Hattie, a track released when he was just 14. Suddenly, the radio stations caught on. Jamaica started paying attention. That young boy from Somerton was no longer just singing in the streets. He was being broadcast into every room with a radio antenna. But more was coming, much more. The rise of a reggae icon. Jimmy wasn't just a good singer, he was versatile, fearless, and curious. As Jamaica transitioned from ska to rocksteady and then to reggae, he moved fluidly with the sound. His music was both rebellious and deeply spiritual, a reflection of society, pain, survival, and hope. Songs that carried messages. His lyrics spoke like poetry, the harder they come, a battle cry against oppression. You can get it if you really want. Motivation in melody form. Many rivers to cross, pain turned into prayer. Each track sounded like a personal diary, but somehow it felt like he was singing for all of us. His voice, sharp yet soothing, could cut like a knife or hug like a friend. You could dance to him, or you could sit alone at 3 a.m. and cry to him. That's the magic. The Harder They Come, the film that took reggae global. In 1972, Jimmy Cliff did something monumental. He starred in the film The Harder They Come. It wasn't just a movie, it was an explosion. Through this film and its soundtrack, reggae wasn't just heard, it was seen. People from New York to London felt for the first time the rawness of Jamaican street culture, the struggle of the poor, the sound of rebellion wrapped in rhythm. The movie turned Jimmy Cliff into a cultural ambassador without him ever applying for the job. Suddenly, reggae wasn't just music from a little Caribbean island, it was a movement, the sound of struggle and spirit. One of Jimmy Cliff's greatest strengths is the emotional clarity of his music. Take Many Rivers to Cross. Listen to it once. You will feel it in your chest. Listen to it twice. You understand life a little better. It's a song about obstacles, about walking through life without certainty and yet moving forward anyway. It's a universal message. Every person carries rivers inside them, but crossing them makes us who we are. Then there's You Can Get It If You Really Want, an anthem of motivation played for decades at festivals, political rallies, and personal victories. If Many Rivers to Cross is the heartbreak, then You Can Get It is the recovery. A song that lifts you from the floor and teaches you how to stand again. And what about The Harder They Come? It's resistance in rhythm. It tells you the world may press you down, but the harder they come, the harder they fall. This wasn't just entertainment, it was empowerment. Beyond reggae, a world citizen of music. Jimmy Cliff didn't stop at reggae. He blended it with rock, soul, pop, funk, African rhythms. He sang with passion, whether backed by a full band or a single guitar. He collaborated with global musicians, recorded in multiple languages, and brought reggae to new audiences long before it was mainstream. He wasn't boxed into one genre. He was the box, the blueprint, the experiment. Awards, recognition, and legacy. Jimmy Cliff is one of the few artists whose impact cannot be contained in charts alone. Still, the accolades speak loudly. Inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, 2010, Grammy winner, Order of Merit, Jamaica's highest cultural honor, worldwide album sales in millions, music featured in countless films and documentaries. He remains one of only 2 living musicians to hold Jamaica's Order of Merit, a badge of honor for shaping the nation's cultural identity, a voice that still echoes. Even decades after his rise, Jimmy Cliff continues to perform, record, and inspire new generations. He has lived through eras, watched political change, survived personal struggles, and still stands with hope in his voice. When he sings today, you hear history, you hear revolution, you hear Jamaica. And if you listen carefully, you also hear yourself. Because Jimmy Cliff's songs don't just belong to him, they belong to the people. Why Jimmy Cliff still matters today. In a world filled with noise, digital sound, fast music, short-lived hits, Jimmy Cliff remains timeless. Why? Because he didn't just entertain, he communicated. His music told stories of injustice and inequality, hope and motivation, heartbreak and revival, humanity and unity. People don't stop listening to Jimmy Cliff because his music never stops being relevant. Every generation faces rivers to cross. Every era needs a reminder that we can get there if we really want. His music is not just art, it's therapy, motivation, rebellion, and joy wrapped into melody. The man, the voice, the bridge. Jimmy Cliff is more than a reggae star. He is a symbol of resilience, a warrior of sound, a messenger of hope. From a hopeful child in Somerton to a global icon on the world's biggest stages, his journey is living proof of his own lyrics. You can get it if you really want. His music remains a compass for anyone fighting, dreaming, or healing. So next time you hear that unmistakable voice, let it take you home to the heart of Jamaica. Let it remind you that even when life is heavy, music can carry you farther than feet ever will. Jimmy Cliff didn't just sing reggae, he delivered it to the world.